I don't remember where we stopped under the hood. I remember we started talking about the panel and stuff. It was not the main menu. So let's go back to Francis 1. We are avoiding the crossfade for the moment because it might not be needed.
Oh, wait, quick question. I just realized that the Under the Hood session this evening is also coinciding with like a session from Bill at 3 p.m. Like, uh,
Our, this is important, Dr. Bodney. We need to
Yeah.
tell them.
All right. So let's see what. Bill sent an email, right? Today,
oh,
so we better take a look at that now.
yeah, yes, it is.
About your.
Important. So we discussed the world space canvas last under the hood. It's not showing here, but because uh, the images are disabled, like I'm enabling the white one now. But even when you don't have the images of a canvas enabled, you still can see their delineation with these white lines, which is very helpful. We know if something is overlapping or not. Um, so we went around this and we ended the session with that technique of opening the scene additive, and then we stole the icon of the video and put it here and this kind of stuff. I'm going to disable another command disable because I have that. Before we go to screen space canvas, because this has a lot of overlap with the VR design that we are deciding as well, let's take a look at the on-screen help canvas. So on-screen help canvas, it's an overlay canvas, so it's on top of everything for the computer. And the only one that is here enabled is this first one, that in the tutorial, Lenny comes and say like, for you to look around, hold left click and drag it. So we have the instruction, but we also have a visual to like help them, um, you know, understand that concept of how to interact with the environment. But that's not the only help we have. For example, I have one here, Lenny question. This is this is old. That's not the current version of Watershed Explorers. I gotta see that. Banner, yeah, this is the one that we're using. Okay. So let's say that we are playing and then we saw some historical pictures. This banner on the top is the kind of reminder that we mentioned a few days ago, because we noticed in our first user test that they are not using those tools very much. So we put this reminder for them to, and then we put like the icon of the uh, progress panel, and inside the progress panel, the icon of the multimedia gallery, and then the two locations are also highlighted. Um, one thing that I can tell ahead of time is that this was the latest iteration, but we already had thought and desired a new change, which is like when these highlighted words are prompted by the Watershed Explorer avatar, why can't we just click on them and open that panel right away? So instead of having to go to the progress menu, la 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 la. Back in the day, we didn't know how. But then, Shanyu and I, in iVR2, we needed to learn that to make possible the instructional uh, strategy for iVR2. So now we have developed a code that merged TextMesh Pro with uh, an interactive text. So we use a
Mhm.
system of links. For example, if I have gallery as highlighted, I create an ID gallery, and if I am hovering the mouse here on top, the mouse checks whether that word has the ID,
Mhm.
and if it's gallery, if I click it, it's gonna call an event that I want, and the event we want is to open something, right? So this is gonna be able to we're gonna be able to implement this for this new iteration, both for the headsets, if we see that it's needed, and for the desktop VR version as well. Similarly, this is Lens reminding of the gallery. We also have Mira reminding them that there are new words in the glossary, and Della reminding you that you are ready to advance, and you have to look around to find the next arrow so you can go to the next photos here. And here, this is the first banner that comes. It's Lenny reminding them how to look around because uh, sometimes, and that happens often, people skip tutorials and they don't know what to do when they are like dropped in this scene. So we put this a banner to be there until they drag at
Mm.
least once, so they uh, can be successful and understand what they need to do. When you finish exploring, Lenny comes back and tell you that there is a question for you to answer, and this question pops here on this uh, invisible area on the corner HUD, which is the buttons here. And then we also have an animation that pulses the question icon to call the player's attention. So there are many visual reminders to make sure that they don't get stuck. And the last one is Mira, I call it Mira and Lens because there is the journal and there is also the progress menu. All of these banners, they have the same structure. You can see that they are prefab. They are made of a background, which is this uh, brown gradient shade. It's only one image. This image sprite is called header UI. Like whenever you want to see something, whether it's 2D or 3D, you click here, and then on the bottom of the inspector, there's a preview. So this is the original photo. In this preview, you can check the resolution, if it's compressed or not, and the overall size. In this case, it's not power of 2, so NPOT. What is power of 2? Every number that is a power of 2, like 2, 4, 16, and then the others, because I'm terrible at math. What I did as a strategy was to print out the table with all the power of 2 and I stuck onto my wall so that whenever I'm
Mm.
working in Unity and I need to have things like visually I make sure that they are power of two so they are in the best optimized size for Unity. And what does that mean? One, there won't be any like glitch or bitmaps, pixels on the image. And two, Unity is able to even further compress that without losing quality and like it becomes kbytes. So this is essential for optimizing. If you have images or sprites that are 1 megabyte, man, you need to optimize. It's too much, especially for headsets and other devices that are less powerful. Um, this one here is like this because this project is from the past. For example, 400 by 20, so it's 400 width and 20 pixels height. Back in the day, I didn't know about this power of two or whatever, but we can have a power of two square in which the left side is opaque and the right side goes gradient until it's invisible. And it's going to be giving the same effect here in this background uh, game object because the image always can expand or adjust to the size you want. So we can do that like in another session together, how to optimize these things. I think mouse keeps like what we have under this background text, the text. So what is the message we want the watershed explorers to tell us? A nice reminder is that this text is Text Mesh Pro, so it's Text Mesh Pro TNP. And when you're dealing with Text Mesh Pro, there is an extra visual reminder, which is this yellow box. This yellow box is where the Text Mesh Pro text lives. The white one with the blue circles, it's the Unity Rect transform. So where the space that the object, the 2D object, the text object is like taking on the screen. Sometimes you can totally do like this, make the text go over the um, bounding boxes or like of the text. But this is not interesting because you get lost, you lose sight of what is happening in your design. Another thing, for example, can you see that there is some space in between here, the original object rect transform and the text mesh pro space to make sure that like the text doesn't cut out or not render. We get to use some padding. Whenever you're working with Text Mesh Pro, you go here, like first you select the game object, and then rect transform is the first object which tells you where the object is in the scene, right? Then there's a canvas renderer to say this is being rendered by a canvas. There is a parent, fine. Then Text Mesh Pro. Lots of things where you put the text. What I want you to see is right in the bottom, there is extra settings. This is very useful for two reasons. First, the margins. So all my text, this Text Mesh Pro will always like have this 30, 25, 30, 25 space uh, for my text to be in a safe area. And another thing as well is the rich text here. So in the Unity uh, native text, which is not Text Mesh Pro, we have the rich text button here, right in the top, next to the size of the font. And just to remind ourselves, the rich text is what allows us to use tags like bold, italic, center, justified, or colors, whatever. Uh, so whenever you need to do like a fine tuning, for example, in this case, we are fine tuning the text just for these three words, progress, menu, and gallery, to be colored. So we have to put the tag color equals, and then you can either put the name of the basic color, which is not for our case because this yellow is not basic, or the hex code, which is a 6 digits code, right? For you to know which code it is, just use this color picker that you have in Unity. And something that I highly recommend is for you to save the colors you most use in the swatches. For example, we know here that this yellow is DE, let me copy and paste here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click here and ouch. So I have this color saved now, right? And I don't want everything to be white. So I come back here and I put the color of the vertex color of the font white. And the only ones that are yellow are the ones that I have the color tag. Okay.
All right. There was further down on this component that you showed. You can scroll down. There was something that you had like raycast checked with this.
Mm-hmm. That's extremely important. That's good that you asked this.
Yeah, down here. All right. So this is extra settings. This is the. I'm just trying to wrap my head around. We're looking at the text mesh. It's a text
Mesh
mesh
Pro.
pro
Mm-hmm.
template, right? Or
The component, all the variables that are in this component.
Which is referring to everything that you have highlighted there. And so I guess my question is, why is raycast target checked?
This is an extremely great question.
And what does that mean in this case? Because I can understand if it was an object like in the house, right, where we're making this array cast target so that we can, you know, shoot and get the ray to do something and then have it do something, right? So what's the purpose, since this is a text mesh pro, where it seems like you're just using it for text?
Okay.
Why raycast target?
There are two pieces to the answer. One, raycast doesn't mean that it's only a laser. Raycast is also applied to the mouse because the theory of raycast is like your mouse position is here, right? Like in the y and x coordinates. But if I want my mouse to interact with something, it's always sending a ray, an invisible ray from its position to the screen. So if you don't have raycast activated, the mouse will never touch the UI interface. So if it's not raycast target, it may be like a panel or it can be even a button. You will never be able to interact with because there is no ray. Actually, that is not a target for a raycast. The mouse is always shooting a ray, an invisible ray.
So if say the gallery becomes like a hyperlink to go to the gallery, you got to have raycast target
Yeah.
checked in order for that to
Yes.
be interactive.
That's the second part of the answer.
Okay, got it.
Because, for example,
Alright.
if a person forgets, oh, Junior Shan, you create a code and whatever, let's type here, oh, just change the color, make it yellow or highlighted. It's not going to work. Because if the text is not raycast target,
Right.
when we hover either the mouse or the pointer, the text is not going to stop that raycast, right? So it's important. This is extremely great question. Thank you.
You guys have any other questions?
There's lots of extra stuff here. What I usually use is like the font style. One thing I need you or the associates, maybe the associates will be better, for like to systematize how do we uh, create different versions of the same Text Mesh Pro, because this is happening. Can you see here that this font has like a shadow, right? So this is the material preset, Liberation Sans drop shadow. But if we go down here and we mess with the shader, like I put an outline, for example, all the text that is using this material preset is going to be altered in the game. So that's not how we change. I have been doing this because of like extreme programming and development, but that's not how we should be doing that. So the question is, for associates, please help us. How do we make sure that we can always edit or change a preset to another one from the same font? For example, this Liberation Sans, by default, it gives us three. It gives the original one, which is material, and you see that like the outline disappeared. We have one that has drop shadow by default, and one that is outline without shadow by default. What if we want to change and have a fourth or fifth one? So this is possible, but I haven't investigated that. So that's a pain.
So is this something you want me to put on our to-do list?
Yeah,
right
for
now?
the associates.
Well, all right, because what I'm doing is, you know, we have the planning doc, and that's kind of got the list of stuff we want to get done, right? Looking under June 8th. So what is it?
Just like
What should we say here?
understand how to prepare other presets for Text Mesh Pro fonts.
Understand how to prepare
Other presets for Text Mesh Pro fonts. There is something very important for us to also touch base here, since we are talking about fonts. Not every time is needed for us to use Text Mesh Pro. So if we are prototyping, just use Unity native UI, text, and whatever, because there will be less variables. It's going to be faster, and also because the Unity engine library namespace already has like text, natural text like text UI uh, compatible. If you have Text Mesh Pro in one of your game objects and you want to edit that or access that via code, you have to remember to call the namespace using TM Pro at the top of the code. Otherwise, you will never be able to access these variables in the inspector. Okay. Another thing, which is this is UI 101, but it's important just if we're talking about that. Let's imagine I'm gonna open this with that. So let's imagine I want to use a UI text, which is the UI native text, somewhere here. Where is it? Here. What happens is that like Unity did a like a sloppy job in the beginning with this one,
Mhm.
and when you get to the game, like it's, uh, it's kind of blurry. So if you need to use that, the technique that we learned like in the tutorials of life is have the scale of the text
Yeah.
object, and then you can also like put the overflow to go over the boundaries, and then your text. Let me put like well, your text will get like very nice
Mhm.
quality. And if you put one, and sometimes of course we don't have font size 300, like the text gets kind of you know problematic. I'm not gonna say that. Discard changes. Let's go to the next topic. Uh, Under the screen help canvas is where the tooltip prefab lives. So let me turn off lens. So here, initially uh, in the prefab, the tooltip is here on the right left corner because it's always adjusted on gameplay, like in runtime. What does that mean? If we are hovering the mouse onto a button, the script of the tooltip gets the position of the Y and X and the position of the tip of the mouse, and then they relocate the tooltip to the top of the point of the mouse, the tip of the mouse, right? The second aspect is that this tooltip prefab has only two children. One is a header, and we are using Text Mesh Pro to have more abilities to make it more appealing, and the content also is here. So initially, before we even created the code, we created a visual for the tooltip box, and after we had that as a prefab, then we went to the code so
Mhm.
that can be always recycled, right? Uh, it doesn't need to be enabled because the code, the tooltip trigger, finds that object and enables that, changes the content depending on the code you have, and then when you exit the object, it disappears and it disables.
Wait, so the tutor also counts as part of like the on-screen help. So
Yeah.
if you disable the on-screen help, like the tutor also wouldn't work.
Yes, that's an excellent
Uh,
question. We noticed that there are lots, like infinite types of players, especially across the ages. And although there is this like idea that older people needs more help, that's not true. One example is in our implementation of React Story. There was an adult playing. They were very excited to play, but then once she realized that she needed to wait for the tutorial, she was like looking at the top. Can I let's skip this? Like, do I have to wait? And we did like we have to wait like for a couple of minutes. So there are people who get triggered, no pun intended, by the presence of lots of help coming to your face, and others that really need that. So what we try to do here in our lab principles for design is like to make sure that the customization is in the power of the user, so they can either decide if it's going to be activated or not, if there's going to be sound or not, because we don't know what's going to trigger there, you know. So that's what. So your question is exactly that. In this game, we put the tooltip prefab under the on help screen canvas because in the options panel, when we say disable on screen help, everything disappears. There's no tooltip anymore. There's no watershed explorer coming in a banner to remind you of something. There's nothing. Just you and the interface. And that's it for on-screen help canvas.
So even when you want to see the definitions, if you disable total, like if you disable on-screen help, you won't be able to see the definitions of like the words and everything, right?
Yes, you wouldn't be able to see the definitions in a very quick and prompt way. The tooltip gives you the beginning, like a very, very 2 to 3 word definition. But the very complete definition lies in the glossary. So what we would like to do is that once they see the tooltip here and see, oh, there's a new word, and then the mirror comes with the reminder, they click on the glossary highlighted words to open the glossary so that they can see that. But that's not yet done because we didn't have the code. Now we have, but we can talk about that afterwards. I'm going to disable on-screen space canvas now and go back to screen space canvas. Okay, the screen space canvas has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start from narration. Narration is a child object that houses all the elements for the narrative to happen. So we have a panel. Actually, where is the bounding box of that panel? Here. So what I did here was like I was looking for the panel bounding boxes around mirror or the thing, but then I didn't find. I went back to the hierarchy and clicked twice. So Unity kind of centralizes for you. So what I can see here is that my panel has an image that is serving as a background shader, right? So we can make this shading effect using the alpha level, which is the fourth variable of the RGB. A is alpha, so if it's 255, means 100% opaque. If it means like 0, 100% transparent. So we usually play with these numbers to make sure that the back shade is good enough to block the attention from the background and call the attention to whatever is in the forefront, the foreground.
Wait, I'm sorry, where was that again?
Here, every time you have an image, a color picker, this variable here, can you see that there's a white bar? This white bar is telling you what is the level of transparency. So for you to access that, you have to click the color. So now we know it's black, and the level of transparency here is set to 100. If I put like almost 0,
Okay.
we go back here, the white is going to be very small. So it's 10% transparent only. Okay? A is alpha.
Alpha is transparent.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to have a color, like a variation of a color that has transparent already set up, you can always come here and click the swatch and have that color. So it depends whatever shortcuts you think it's going to be most helpful, you can go forward. Then we have default color and NPC title. NPC title has two children. One is the name here on the left, and on the right is the title. We have that so that we can translate everything for any language. Currently, I put the standard names in Portuguese for me to know that it's not translated. But when we hit play and the game checks which language we chose in the player prefs, it reads here the text localizer and it says the key Mira. So Mira is the code to tell us which title she has. So Let me see if we hit play here, if it's gonna show any language. So it's in English. So environmental education specialist, right? If it was Spanish in our language manager here on the game mechanics holder, it would be translated to Spanish. Um, Default color, we touched base on that last week. In the very beginning of the years, we thought about having different color schemes for like accessibility, but since Paige and I were starting our journey, we didn't know how to do that programmatically, so we thought about having three parent chunks of game objects that contain different color schemes, so that when the user changes the color scheme for like high contrast, we would disable the default color and enable all objects that were high contrast. But it ended up that we had so many things to do that this became like lower priority because we are still trying to like wrap the main design of the game. So this can be a further topic for improvements or learning journey for any one of the future members of the lab. Um,
Does does that need to be optimized for the mini versions, or
No.
it's fine as is?
because it's working.
Okay. Fine.
Another thing that it's important to say is that Beiji, Jennifer, and I, we ran all the color blindness tests for the color selections. So we were able to select the combination of colors that it doesn't matter which color blindness the player might have, they will always discern the differences in color. So because sometimes if you choose a color that when there is color blindness variable activated as though we were programs, uh, the colors are the same, so they don't see where they should go or where they should click because there's no contrast of colors. Um, so in the dialog box, we are housing this script called name of the avatar, acronym of the place. So FW1 is Francis W1, and this is one of the ways we found throughout the years of like controlling this conversation. This is a place that could be optimized. Why is that? Because we could have this instead of a script like this, we could have just a text localizer like this one over here. And then instead of putting key Mira, we could put key Francis Walter 1. So what does that mean? It goes to our database and then we'll get all the text. Why haven't we done that? Because in the conversation, and I can even hit play here for you, the conversation comes step by step. So we have one chunk of sentences and we have to have time for the player to read and they choose when to continue. And then when I click continue, I read the second line. So Beige and I and Jennifer, we like, how are we going to control that in the database? So we decided to do whatever was working, and the narrative doesn't work with the text localizing database. The narrative works then with uh, this script. We have one of these for each avatar in each scene. This is another thing that might be optimized if you think it's important. And how do we understand this script? One, we need to put a reference to the dialog box. Like, where is this text going to be rendered, right? So we drag the dialog box here, there. Then we have like Mira F1 text display, Mira F1 continue button, Mira box, Mira close button, and selected language. This might be one thing that you two optimize about removing the selected language variable. I don't know if it's going to come here, so make sure that whatever in the new optimization
Mhm.
for language manager, it's sending the selected language to this variable here. Okay.
All right. I'm going to try to get this. So our document, our planning document right now, already it's kind of unwieldy, I think. Um, I'm trying to think where the.
Where are you taking notes?
Um, so I think like right in this section here might be the best place. So if you look, keep scrolling down. Like I added for number 5 to understand how to prepare the other
Mm.
3 sets,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we add this right now. And I'll let you type it in
Mm.
because I didn't follow you 100% of what the optimization is going to be here for. But it sounds like this is something that we would definitely want Juan and Jonah to do, right?
But that's a very, very low priority.
It is a low
Yeah,
priority.
because the system is working. So there are two systems in place. One system translates everything in the game that is static. But the narratives that we need to like give spacing and time for the player to decide when to go forward, we couldn't find a way. So if your brains are already like, let us know. Because yeah, we don't know how to cycle those lines, like advance those lines, getting them from the database, the text database. So
All right. So again, I understand we're calling this a low priority thing, but is it something you want them to do?
no,
Then let's not.
and only if we have time, not for now, because
Okay.
it's working.
All
It's
right.
working very well. So
All right. Then I don't think we should add it then because I don't think they're going to have time to hit low priority things this summer.
because when they finish this, they will have help the other things to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's not worry about it then.
Okay. So if you want to improve something that you might improve, see, this is repeated like dialog box and Mira F1 box. Okay, this is narration, whatever. I don't know why I did that. I just remember that we tried our best to make things work. Let's visit this script for you to see one detail that is important. All of the scripts already exist for all the players, but you need to understand something that we needed to create to make sure that it worked. Depending on the amount of lines that the dialogue has, you have to tweak this loop over. It's not a loop here. So this next sentence stuff, because we got the index of how many sentences there was in English, and then we got that value -1. Why is that? Because the last sentence should not show continue. The last sentence of this length should show close, to close the dialogue. Okay? But there might be an easier way for doing that. So, depending on the script, like, yeah, this is something that you might help us if you can put all of the dialogue codes together, because we have one class for each dialogue currently, and I'm gonna show you that in Unity. Here, look at that. So there's a dialog folder in the script folder in like Della1 headquarters, so the beginning of the game. Della tutorial 1, headquarters part 2, like the end of the game. So, and it's the same code, but the only thing that is changing is the size of the sentences, because each one of these conversations, they vary. Like sometimes they have 2, 3 lines, the other ones have 7, 5, 6. Uh, and something also that we check here in this code, but this part I think it's the same. Not only these numbers change, it's whether the language uh, is English or Spanish, so that it can be translated. It actually is not translated. We hard wrote the translation here in these arrays of text, right? So for the dialogues, for example, we say like, oh, there are 3 lines, and I don't remember why we needed to leave an empty line so that the close button shows in the correct moment. And this is something that you can optimize because that was out of our control and understanding.
All right, so bear with me. I want to take a look at this, and then I have questions. So
Mhm.
we're under narration.
Narration dialogue, default forward dialogue.
Default color. And the text itself, where you had all the text.
They are hidden, like not hidden, they are housed in this array sentence English and sentences Spanish. So you have to open the arrow to see all the elements.
Gotcha. Okay. And explain to me again, please, what you're asking to be optimized here. Because you're saying this should be optimized to be do something better, right?
Yeah, so from the top down. Generally, if you think it's easy, remember only if you like feel, oh, I know what how to improve this. If you don't know, don't touch it. It's just like a beehive. It's working. But if you know, like, oh, I've came across like before, I've come across a situation that it's similar to that, so I know how to merge all these similar scripts to make sure that that is optimized. So you would be trying to like merge how many scripts? Many, 25, 29 dialogue scripts into one dialogue manager script or dialogue whatever, right?
And that manager would then have to control what is being displayed by photosphere.
Yeah. And you are very on top of the process. How would we do that, Dr. Bods, in programming wise, to display what we need to display in each photosphere?
Well, you're going to have to do some type of C sharp coding with some language that says something like, if you're here, display this,
Mhm.
um, and nothing else gets displayed.
Yeah.
And you would have to have that for 29 different
No.
sections.
Oh yeah. But then they can continue the optimization with this piece of the code instead of repeating that block. They can. I think it's a switch case, right? So the case is the name of the scene.
Love switches.
Do this.
So I optimize the game menu of code. I changed things to switches. But I'll get that later.
So what you said is correct, and the name of this is like a scene check. So what they would be doing is like in this code, you can see here in the top, it's using TextMesh Pro, Unity Engine, and the Systems Collection, which is the native stuff. They would have to be using engine Unity Engine dot scene management or scene manager. This is a namespace that allows us to control or check the names of the scenes, load and unload scenes. So we would have to run a scene check in this optimized dialog manager to check where is this narrative happening now. Oh, it's in Francis 1. And then like, if the case is Francis 1, you run this chunk of code so the correct text can appear.
All right, and then I guess getting back to the question, how on priority is this? Because it works right now. So is this something that's kind of a low priority, nice to have type thing, or is it something that we really need to do to make this thing really work better?
Low priority, nice to have because we are hoping to make sure that we get the headset completed, right? But highly recommended to be optimized if they can, because for future projects, we can recycle this system. Because I don't wanna, I don't know if, I don't know if Fungus is very user friendly. Like we had to have Shan Yu specialize in Fungus, and then it's just like we had two systems. So if we go back to using our manually created dialogue, it's easier to have control of all the aspects.
So here's where I'm just having a little hard time with the priority list because I don't want us to assign anything to Quan and Jonah unless we feel it's good use of their time and necessary. But everything you're saying, well, this would be pretty good to have, but it works, right?
Yes.
So
That's why it's low priority. Only if they have time at the end.
At the end.
And what we put high priority or medium, it's things that are not working and I couldn't find a solution in the translation.
All right. So I guess so here's again where I'm having the problem of, capturing what you're saying. So we put it somewhere, right?
Let's put a nice to have then.
Nice
to haves are always low priority.
All right. So that's something like here, and we can just make a nice day. And we all understand this, right? It's something we don't need to work on now, but it's nice to. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a 5-minute bathroom break, and I'll be right back. And before I walk, so just a quick check-in, Jonah and Quan, you're following everything okay? And we're on the same page about we're getting UnderTheHood to understand everything and how it works. It's important. But again, I think the key thing what he's saying is nice to have nice priority at the end of the project is, if this stuff doesn't get done, it doesn't get done.
It doesn't matter because it's working.
It doesn't matter. It's more important to focus on things we really need to have work here.
So we decided that this dialogue stuff is going to be low priority because it's working. Nice to have in the future when the project is done. Okay, so we started with narration.
Mm-hmm.
Dialogue is there. Sprite, there is a box to show like the sprite in the foreground and in the background if it's needed. So far, we don't have any conversations in photospheres that the two avatars came. The only time this happens is in the headquarters, in the prologue, in the epilogue. So, but since it's a prefab, right? The narration is a prefab. This object is here because if we need to activate it, it's there. Then we have that system, the expandable text box container, because depending on the length of the sentence, it needs to, right? And in order not to clash with the buttons, we put this second text box here below so that we can show the continue or the close text. And they are working as buttons. Name is the same. Alright, so we are starting right now. Third, this is nice because we started discussing about that. Dot view. When you click the photos, the flying photos, I will have to do disable the thing here. So when we click the flying photo icon, in the photos here, it opens the top view to let the user know where they exactly are, is, they are, okay, where exactly they are in, in the location, right, from a different perspective. And we also communicate like with this icon, camera, and number that there are some photos over there that we can take a look. So this is the top view, uh, parent,
I'm sorry.
screen space canvas.
I hate. Let me. This one right here. I
I
want to get
just
rid of that.
disable like
This one.
yeah,
It's
or like on-screen
it's
help.
on
Like
screen help.
yeah, I just disable the whole thing.
Gotcha. All right.
Disable the crossfade, right?
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thanks.
Um, so the top view parent is the one who holds the photo, the GIS photo. And there is a top view script here. I don't know. This is too little. Oh, this is not going to be needed for the headset version because we are not going to be freezing the looking around, and it's impossible for us to freeze a person's head. So no, it's going to drop from the top view thing. Uh,
So let me ask a question. Since we're removing a whole bunch of photospheres, right, in the short versions, like I don't right now, there's nowhere in the short versions that has more than one photosphere, correct?
what do you mean? Currently?
The short versions that we've outlined that they're going to have for industrial history, when
Uh-huh.
they go to a location, it's only one photosphere, right? I don't think there's any of them that have two photospheres.
Oh, let's take a look. I don't
Because
recall
my
that.
because if that's the case, the top view is probably not going to be necessary to have
Mm.
because you're just canoeing down the river and then boom, you're right in the photosphere. There's no reason to have the
Mm.
top view,
That's a nice idea. Let's take a
right?
look.
Yeah, the bottom one here.
So one,
Yeah,
one, one, one,
yep,
one, one, one. Yeah,
yeah,
theirs is one. Let's see.
yeah,
Oh, here. One. Oh, Rockport, I have two.
yeah. And you have a 9A and 9B
Yeah, I have Lock
also,
Easton and
but
Rockport.
their version that they're working on industrial history, there's no two photospheres, right? At any location.
Yeah.
So I say we just get rid of the top view. It just seems like it's an extra thing. Um, I mean, it's
So it's not getting rid, it's disabling
right.
because the other versions need that. All right, so we don't have the top view. But also another thing that we need to see is that,
It's a nice top view there, but again, yeah, go ahead.
Jonah or Quan, today too, go there, let's play Watershed Explorers on the headset.
In the headset?
Remember we were discussing about this, how wonky that was if we was floating on the screen. Uh, wait, yeah.
Wait, should I?
You should go to Classic as well, just to get the latest version.
I love the satellite image, but again, I'm trying to think. You know, is it necessary for this? And for the short version, I think no. I think when you canoe down, you go to a location. Let's just get right into the photosphere.
The satellite version photo was a means of one, communicating where the user is,
Yeah.
and two, also communicating where the photos are from.
Yeah. So, and I want to be talked out of this somehow too, because when I look at what I like about the photos is it does help you get a better perspective. Uh,
Uh,
like, yeah, I'm going to end up talking myself out of this, I'm sure. But when I'm looking at when, when I look at the camera, I mean this aerial photo,
Uh-huh.
right,
Uh-huh.
for Francis E. Walter. What I think's great about that you can't get here. It's hard to tell. It you're given you're seeing the reservoir, you're seeing the dam, and you see the start of the Lehigh River. That's pretty powerful image, right? Um,
We can.
I mean, it really helps establish context for the location.
Don't worry. Let's see what Juan is gonna show
All right,
us.
all right, go ahead, Quan. And again, I just think we need to talk through this.
So it just starts.
Take a look if the headset. Oh, I already did that. Open Oculus link in the Quest. No, no, in the headset. Click the button with the battery indicator and the time. It should open a panel which is called Quick Access. And to the right, there will be a third button called Link, Oculus Link.
When you see that satellite, the aerial photograph, does it help you to understand the place?
Personally, I mean, I'm just gonna click on the image and be like, I don't really care what. Personally, like seeing it the side, like I'm seeing it, but all I really would care about would be clicking the image and zooming in and seeing it.
And getting into the
Yeah.
more interactive
Yes.
elements.
I'll control the computer. Okay? Make yourself comfortable.
Wait, only need one controller, right?
No, two. That's a great question, and we need to talk about that today as well. So, that's not the scene. Stop. I'm sorry, Juan, I'm gonna take you out.
Oh,
Oh, come back. I take it like it was a very quick thing. Go back, please. Hold the two controllers. So if you press the left grip, the side button, left, yes. Okay, Juan, focus, please. Can you see the button that is written top view on the left of the iPad? Click on the top view button. Yeah, yes. So that's the idea, Dr. Body. Juan,
Yeah.
try to help us, please. You are a slave now. You are under my spell.
So, all right. So your idea is you're in the photosphere, but you go into the photosphere. You're coming out of the video, right? You have the video, and then you're at Francis E. Walter, and that top view. The only way that you're going to display that is on the tablet.
Because it's the more natural way. The other way, Juan,
Yeah.
look around and see if you find the. Wait, what? I disable the. Let me
Interesting.
hold on there, Juan. I'm gonna enable some stuff again.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
Outdoor, I disabled all the 3D UI. Okay, Juan, look up to the right. Click on this image there. This is terrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually better than thought when I do VR or something like that.
The photo is nice, but close this photo that is open, Juan.
I think
This is bad.
Okay, this is bad.
I don't like that at all.
yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means, Dr. Boz, is that instead of having a black panel or a black shader to show the photos you are clicking, the GIS top view becomes a background for the iPad, iTablet. We are not sponsored by Apple, but you can if you want. Oh, for you to close this, you have to click the dummy. Open the photo on the iPad, please. One. And not iPad, the tablet. And the good thing about having the tablet as the supported interface is that you can move it closer to your face to get some details.
So okay, so
It
now you've
increases
got
immersion, interactivity, curiosity, lots of wins.
We never discussed this, did we?
We have
Really?
1.5 years ago.
Really? Okay.
Before
All
the
right.
study.
I just don't remember. Okay, no, it's fine. I like this. I think that's great
I also do.
because you're getting it on the tablet, so it means when you're canoeing down the river to the site, you don't have to go to the map first, right? Basically,
Now I understand. Now I know that I understood what you were
I'm
worried
just trying to
about.
think desktop versus headset, the difference, right?
You are connecting to things that are not connected in the game. The transition video is not connected to the experience in the photosphere at all. The transition video that the canoeing down is only in between.
Yeah, I understand that.
So, what is the connection of the top view GIS with that?
Well, when when you finish canoeing, so let's say the next stop, I forget what it is in industrial history. It's Rockport, right? So let's say
No. The next one in the history is Lehigh Gap.
Lehigh Gap. So when you're done with this one, you're going to have the animation of the canoe. You end up at Lehigh Gap, and then what would happen is you end up in the photosphere, but you have the tablet, and so if you wanted to see the aerial of the Lehigh Gap,
Mm-hmm.
you can see that on the tablet.
Yes.
Um, Again, we're going to probably have to talk about how we modified that because Lehigh Gap's got three photosphere. The aerial's got three different locations.
But that's the other thing that I told you. The aerial view was also meant to communicate, to cue where the photos are from. Because, Juan, can you show us in the middle of the screen? Get the tablet very close to your face, please. Or you can make it super big if you want. Can you see that like the balloon of the camera has a tip? The tip of the balloon is pointing to the tower, to like, this is where that photo is from. So in a location like the Lehigh Gap, we had three uh, locations, right?
Yeah.
We can put these balloons at these three different locations, and the photos that we open with them are respective to those locations.
Right.
Wait, what if I press there while putting on the tablet?
It's not closing.
Under the camera? Oh, wait, that's gonna go back here. Oh, yeah, it's like it's from.
Can you hold your head still for a second? Question progress.
Statue.
Dialogue location.
What is this the name in English?
Statue?
Yeah, the children's game. Just like say, statue and
Oh, it's
All right. You move your head.
like a freeze.
freeze. Yeah, in Brazil,
And you
it's statue.
you develop this UI for the tablet for your version for Riverine?
This is my version.
Yeah. Oh, this is your what?
Yeah, everything that I'm showing is from my version. They will
Oh.
have like an inheritance.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So another thing that happens with the tablet is that they get another photo. For example, the background there. It's Francis E. Walter. It's showing like a nice view,
Yeah.
right? So we will be able to further communicate that location with this game of different interfaces. I think then we can come back because unless we need to make we decide to make choices already now.
Well, all right. So I'm just curious. So, Jonah Quant, have you seen this before? This interface on the tablet? Is this your first time?
You mean like in this game or just in general?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You have seen it.
I like it.
I haven't seen it before. All right. Yeah, I like it.
So the follow-up questions now. We were wondering which was going to be the UI pipeline, floating panels or um, 2D panels on the tablet.
Well, I think, didn't we talk about this last week? We thought we were going with the tablet, that the
Yes.
floating panels probably wouldn't work that as well.
Yes, but it wasn't fully functional, and you asked me to bring it today so we could make this choice together.
Okay.
So, Juan, click on the progress button, please.
And I also think, before we finalize this completely, I mean, I think we come with a recommendation stage for full group on this.
We will recommend or ask their opinion.
Well, we recommend. We like it, and I think they need to see it.
And
They've never seen this.
This design was based on lots of research I did, so it's not like, oh, that's Junior win. No, I really thought about user experience and stuff.
But I think it's important today to show this the full meeting.
Oh, okay.
Because again, we talked about this last week, and
so just like Juan is doing now, the advantage of having this immersive interface is that we don't have to stop the game anymore. The progress can always be open, and like Juan, press the left grip so you can close the tablet. No. Open the progress panel again. Press the left grip so you can close the tablet. Grip. This is trigger. There you go. So we always eliminate the interface, and whenever we need like a support interface, we bring up the tablet again in our left hand. And weirdly enough, and that's a question that I would have for the both of them, the UI system that I'm using here, it requires us to have our left hand touching the left controller, otherwise the click doesn't work. So that was very annoying. I took a lot of time to understand what was going on. So by having the user holding the left controller, the interactivity with the right hand will always work. Okay, so yeah, let go of the left controller. Not like this, just like you did, but do not touch any buttons. And try to click one of the floating icons. Try to close it now. See? Yeah, like that's the issue. So the system kind of it loses the tracking event of the left hand, and then it freezes the interaction. But once you put your hands on the buttons again, it reclaims the interaction event of the left hand, and then you are allowed to interact again. Okay, come on, let's focus. Close that, go to the iPad, let's see the other interfaces. Because it takes a while for the script to understand that it lost the controller, and then it blocks the interaction. So go to the tablet and click the journal, the first button on the left. Left, no, I'm sorry, left, there you go. The first, no. Look down. Okay, that's bad. This is something that we need to think about. How do we give instructions? So, yes. So that's the one that summarizes everything, right? It's still on the tablet. It's easy to interact. This one is better than the gallery and the glossary because if one drags the panel up and down, it goes.
Why are there question marks there?
Because we are in one scene that is not the actual scene. So the code is not deciding where we are so that it can close something and open others. So all of the text is there being enabled.
We'll need to work on that. Those question marks.
No, this is not an issue.
No?
No, because this is a test scene. This is not Francis E. Walter 1.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Once we are in Francis E. Walter 1, there will be a scene check, and then this is going to show only things about Francis E. Walter.
All right, gotcha.
Juan, close the journal, please. Open the middle one. So this is the flyby in photos, and we also have the other ones with like
Nice.
Wait, this one I can't.
yeah, this is the issue I was talking about. Only the journal has a high arraycast interactivity on the panel itself. The gallery and the glossary, we need to use the scroll bar to the right. And I see this as a design threat for user experience because not everyone has uh, uh, like fine motor skills to click and hold that button over there. Maybe we could expand or enlarge the button because it's kind of problematic. Maybe changing this side thing by with a hand, so it communicates that they can move up and down. I guess that's an interesting idea.
Wait, what about we can't go up and then you can click on the normal button, you can just like hold it down.
What are you asking, Juan?
Like instead of scroll, you use the template when you're on the website, you click on the little button and you can just like move the whole mouse up and down for it to like automatically scroll to you.
Are you talking about the mouse?
Yeah, like instead of like having a scroll bar like we can just like scroll directly on this.
Oh,
Yeah.
like how you could do in like
Yeah, like we could do this in the journal. If you can find how to do this like quickly, that's gonna be great. So you just have to analyze the structure of the gallery and the glossary against the journal. That's and then Doctor,
So you wanna
this
you
is a
wanna
nice to have or a medium priority because
well,
it's working, right?
yeah, but I guess the question is, will people have difficulty with this? And if the answer is yes, you said that. You said people might have a lot of difficulty with that. Then I think that's going to be a high priority that something we're going to have to solve.
So that's gonna be a group task then. Jonah and Juan will try to make the middle panel interactable so they can scroll as well.
Yep.
And I will update the handle to be something like bigger and more communicative. We don't need to follow everything to the T.
All right, I'll add this. All right, so this is
The scroll view of the gallery and the glossary needs to be scrollable like the journal pen. Let me help you with
I've made a number. I'm in number 6 here.
that. Well, I would give it.
How did you make the iPad?
I downloaded a tablet from Sketchfab.
Okay. And then you like modified it with like
Yeah,
logo. And
we should go under the hood with the iPad as well, but
Yeah.
it's because we are just coming here to make these decisions because then we know what we can drop from the other one or not.
That I think wants should do that. Clip through.
That's fun, bro. I'm like, that's kind of like cool things to do with that.
But again, that kind of happens in VR because you
You're putting the iPad inside your skull.
Yeah, and like
He's-
it's
he's-
really huge changing as well.
Oh, he's changing. So
Yeah.
remember I said last meeting that this is the ignore reverse raycast in the canvas component. If we uncheck or check that box, we only allow raycast to be received from the face of the canvas, or we can currently is receiving raycast from the front and from the back of the UI. Don't worry about that now, Quan. Don't no one is gonna like be trying to do that. They're gonna try to survive for the first time in a headset. Can you go back to the gallery? No, the journal, just for us to make sure that we. So, see, you can interact with the middle panel much smoother than the other two.
Oh, wait. Wait. Oh, yeah, you were saying that
Yeah,
only the
only this one has this.
Oh, because I thought you were saying that only the middle one, only the short one has like the shorter big controls.
So, because this panel is simpler than the other two,
Mm.
you can use the thumbstick to scroll up and down, or you can drag and drop the panel itself like you're doing. But the gallery and the glossary, they have extra layers of UI, so it's not doing that. And because this comes from the desktop, in desktop, people usually just scroll the mouse and the three of them scrolled. But here it's not scrolling with the thumbstick.
Oh, wait. I just realized that you can like scroll using the short stick both
If you are hovering the, yeah.
That's actually much better than using just to scroll. So,
A possible solution for that would be for you to, the parent of the scroll bar could be extended to the side. A child, which is the scroll bar itself, is like stuck to the right. And because this invisible area is overlaying the text, then you will be able to control. I think that's the easier solution.
All right, say again. I'll just add that to the notes.
Oh, I can take that.
Okay.
Solution A.
oh, that's all right.
Make this scroll bar child.
Can you turn the process?
Hmm.
Like, what's the difference between these buttons and these buttons? Because like, don't they just do the same?
Yeah, this is because this one that you're pressing should do this, and the other one should just enlarge the corner UI.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because this was designed that I came up for allowing 3 degrees of freedom people who use the tablet in Oculus Go, but we kind of froze that idea, and then we are just focusing on the affordance of 6 degrees of freedom. Okay, Juan, close this panel, please.
Okay.
The question I have for all of you is like, are we are we going to be closing or hiding the bottom corner interface while the panel is open, or we leave it like that?
Wait, you mean this one?
Mm-hmm. All these buttons that you are having there, it's another question I have for you. Currently,
So go into Explorer log right now.
Take the control.
Yeah, just doing something. So we're in here, and when you're done and you want to get back, you would exit out. So one thing you're sort of suggesting is when you're in the journal or anything that pops up, all that other UI that we're seeing, um, like the bottom left, that would disappear from the field of view. Is that what you're suggesting, Junior?
Yes and no, just the buttons, like the ones that Juan is holding, hovering over. The compass can stay, and the location panel
Right.
also can
Yeah, I
stay.
said location would stay.
Um, Another thing that we have to have in mind is that the journal, the gallery, and the glossary are sub-panels. What does that mean? They only exist because they are a child, or not a child. They came from the progress panel. So the idea is when you close the journal, it goes back to the progress panel. One, close the journal for us, please. So it comes back. The progress panel is a main panel. So when you close it, everything disappears, like in the middle.
So I think so. So again, right now, just click on, I don't know, any one of those buttons, like, yeah, right there. I think I think Junior, if you got rid of, again, the idea of keeping the compass and keeping the location, getting rid of everything else,
Mhm.
kind of declutters the screen.
Yes.
Because right now it's looking kind of busy, and
Yeah.
then what happens, I think, is that could serve to distract
Yes.
from the focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like also to have a dark shader when the main panel pops?
Like in the background?
We darken the background as well, or do you think it's not necessary?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, Juan.
I also happen to think that just having it on top of the background image does help with with understanding the sense of place. Because you're like, oh, I'm on top of this image of the dam. It says Francis C. Walter Dam down there,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
and it doesn't. The background image doesn't seem to distract as much. As like all these things that are like floating around,
mhm.
popping up like that
Mhm.
question mark and all these texts right now. It's like, oh, what do these texts say? Maybe.
Wait, what? Wait, question about the model.
Yeah. So currently they are opening all together. I already have a solution for that. What I brought to ask all of you is, one, focus on the button you use to open the progress, like this one. Yes. These buttons, they are toggle. What that means is if you click, you open, but if you click them again, you close them. And like these buttons, they are not gonna be like this. They are next to the original buttons on the circular buttons to the left. What I want to know is, are we gonna be using toggle to click the same button and open and close? Oh wait, if we open the panel and then it closes the menu, yes, we cannot. We cannot be toggle anymore. Okay, come on, wait. I'm gonna create a constraint for you.
It's journal log gallery, and what's the third one in there? It's
Glossary.
glossary.
I'm almost done. Come on, don't worry, don't worry. That's for this. Okay, Juan. Close the progress, and I'll open the progress with the progress button, which is the book. Try to, yeah, you cannot click, because once the idea Dr. Bozin gave us is when we open the panel, we hide the buttons. So you won't be able to do that. You won't be able to open two panels at the same time. So close this panel, the progress, and you have opened the chat log, so you have to close that as well. Now click the only one that should be toggled is the location panel. Because if you click, it should turn on and turn off this bottle thing. Okay, I already took notes of that in my log. Click the options panel. Juan, please.
All right, so I've added this as number 7 in our planning document. Jonah, you think that's the way to go too? Yeah.
Okay, Juan, you can close that after you select the language if you want to Spanish. So. And the question panel is still like just a placeholder. However, click the question panel, please. Juan. So I just brought the alert to the iPad. This is usually the alert that flies uh, on the screen. But this is where we're going to be answering the question when Laney, we finish the location. Okay, so it seems I have the answers I needed about that.
Good. This was an important conversation.
Oh, Juan, I'm going to open something for you over there.
Well, only when people stop here, like the iPad is gonna be here automatically, right? Like, they're not gonna just
I'll decide that during the tutorial, don't worry. And then we'll see after it's developed what with the group what decision is better. So, Dr. Bodin, that's the information sign on the tablet. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be hiding these buttons here.
Yeah, better. Yeah. Click on one of the magnifier glasses. And you can read the text okay, right, Juan?
No, well, I don't have to get glasses right now.
Oh,
Ah.
sorry. Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
all right. I can see it fine on the
You
screen.
can also get closer the tablet to your face.
really, that's the heads up hotter than it's actually pretty detailed.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I can read it fine.
This looks good.
The question I have for you, Dr. Bodin, do we need the magnifying lenses now that we have the tablet to get closer to our face?
No.
I would say yes.
Jonah said no.
Yes.
We gotta vote.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Why would you need a magnifying glass if you can just?
It's because the text, when it's still pretty small.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, you're going to need the magnifier. Someone that's my age or older is going to need the magnifier.
Well, yeah, because like you can also view the photos like bigger as well.
All right. So let's go to the next test now.
Yeah, plus
Yeah, this is the last test.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Juan, thank you so much.
Yeah, Juan is great.
It sucks to be like there, just following orders. So thank you. So 5 minutes to the hour. We did you talk yourself out of the dropping the top view then? No.
Yeah, because it's in the tablet. Looks
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, so yeah. I mean, it's not that we're not dropping it. We're just, in terms of the interface, when you get to a location, you're in the photosphere
already. Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to do this extra step that we have in the desktop version.
I don't understand that you're saying because it seems you are mixing the video kayaking down with this interface, and they are different things.
Right, but doesn't that pops up when you get into in the desktop version? As soon as, let's say, you get to Lehigh Gap,
No,
the first.
that only pops up when they click this photo icon,
Yeah,
which is the same thing that we did here with Juan. Juan
okay.
clicked the photo icon, and then it opened in the iPad. When the user clicks here, this floating icon, the camera, it turns on the top view.
Yeah, I guess I must be just
Yeah, that's why I was
mixing
also.
up something.
You were mixing.
That's
just
okay. Yeah.
It's okay. Um, okay, top view done. Corner HUD. Okay, corner HUD. Wait. Corner HUD. I used to have this button toggle script. Look at that. This is messy, but
Oh my goodness.
I don't think it's gonna be like this because uh, I developed a system of swapping panels for the Lehigh Gap story, and I'm gonna implement that today.
Mhm.
So instead of having to like list all the panels here and the sub panels or whatever, like yeah, my goal for tonight is like see how cleaner this is gonna be like. So we will have to revisit this after. Yeah. Yeah, the corner HUD like this
So that,
is the this is the main source of
so
interactivity.
I'm sorry,
for
that
me.
last one where you said just messy, right? It's
This
just,
one, the
all right,
button toggle script.
button toggle script. All right, I'm just gonna make a note here that
Yeah,
Junior's gonna
Junior is
work.
working on that tonight.
A,
I need that. I need you to prioritize YouTube, the tooltip now,
Okay.
because we are
Got it.
reaching a very close moment, like we're done, and then we'll just duplicate the scenes.
Right.
Mhm. Got it.
Another thing that I did yesterday to make sure that this test happened with did you experience any lag or freezing or whatever?
You mean in the headset?
Yeah, when you were like playing with the iPad and stuff.
No.
Only when you left out the controller, right? When you
Yeah. Okay.
and then you couldn't do anymore. So I found that there was lots of tooltip calling and like hiding tooltips, and then whenever that happened, so I disabled like more than 500 places where tooltips were being called and uncalled,
Mhm.
and then uh, once you figure out that thing, I will implement that, and boom,
when you
everything
say
works.
tooltip, which exactly are you referring to? You said it's priority, right?
Yeah, it's there. It's the middle one. Adapt tooltip system to VR.
Okay.
They, it should become high now because the other one high they did it.
Okay.
They have tested how 2020. Actually, we are not deleting that. What we have to do is to. This is a Jonas question. Jonah, when you check that box, which project did you test? Did you test this one that I gave to you, or did you test another project?
I tested. So it was the June 5th version of the VR. So it would be yeah, iVR green.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, wait, this is not where is it? June 5th.
Yeah, that version.
So this version you tested
Yep.
with the 2021
Yep.
that uses the XR interaction system.
Yep.
This is important because just to remember, and that's the last minute for this video, IVR Green that I'm building in another interaction. What is that again? I'm using another interface interaction system. So I don't have XRI just like we have in 2021, right? So as long as the controllers are interacting with the canvases and stuff, great. All right. So
And just for me, like when we say the tooltip, what exactly are we referring to?
those mini boxes that pop up to tell you what the buttons are for and whatever. The tooltips also have like the conversion from miles to kilometers,
Okay.
feet
Yeah.
to meters.
Gotcha.
Uh,
All right.
yeah,
Wait, since the tooltip's now on the iPad, right? Tooltip.
that's a great question.
Ooh,
There will be
yeah.
two types of tooltips.
Okay.
The floating ones, because there are 3D objects floating.
Right.
And this one, I need you to put next to the radical. Remember that idea?
Mhm.
And in the iPad, in the tablet, it's going to be just like in the computer. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this ends our under the hood for today.